In the quiet town of Ravenwood, everyone knew Emily Carter as the woman who never spoke back. She worked at a prestigious corporate firm in New York, commuting daily, dressed neatly, eyes down, voice soft. People mistook her silence for weakness. Emily was brilliant, but her success threatened powerful men, especially Richard Hale, the firm's golden executive. He took credit for her ideas, humiliated her in meetings, and slowly destroyed her reputation. When Emily finally tried to speak up, no one listened. One false accusation later, she was fired. Her world collapsed in a single afternoon. Emily lost more than her job. Friends distanced themselves. Her fiancé left, believing the lies spread about her. Her name became a warning whispered in office hallways. For months, Emily lived in silence. Not the silence of fear but the silence of observation. She watched. She learned. She remembered every face that turned away. And deep inside her, something changed. "This is not the end," she whispered to her reflection one night. "This is the beginning." Emily disappeared from Ravenwood. 3 years later, she returned not as a victim, but as Elena Cross, a confident consultant with an international reputation. New name. New power. Same woman. Her first client Richard Hale's company. Richard didn't recognize her at first. Why would he? The timid woman he destroyed no longer existed. Emily smiled politely across the conference table, hiding years of pain behind calm confidence. The game had begun. Emily exposed corruption slowly and legally. She gained trust. She documented evidence. Emails. Financial fraud. Harassment cases buried under money and influence. She didn't rush revenge. She crafted it. Richard began losing deals. Executives resigned. Whispers turned into investigations. The same people who once laughed at Emily now avoided eye contact. And when Richard finally realized who she was, it was too late. Federal agents stormed the office on a Monday morning. Richard Hale was arrested in front of everyone. Emily stood across the street, watching the man who once destroyed her walk out in handcuffs. Their eyes met for a moment. There was no hatred in her eyes. Only peace. "You took my voice," she said later in court, "but I found it again." Emily didn't celebrate. She healed. She started a foundation for women silenced by power. She spoke at conferences. She told her story not with anger, but with strength. Ravenwood remembered her name now. Not as a warning, but as a legend. Because Emily Carter didn't just take revenge. She rewrote her destiny. Richard Hale's arrest shook the corporate world, but Emily knew this victory came with a price. Media hunted her story. Headlines called her a hero, others called her manipulative. Emily learned one truth: hand pointing right when a woman takes power, society tests her character twice as hard. Threats came. Anonymous calls. Emails telling her to stay quiet. She smiled. She had been quiet long enough. Emily's mother, Margaret Carter, had once warned her, "Powerful men don't forgive women who expose them." Margaret herself had lost her job years ago for refusing her boss's advances. Emily now realized this was a cycle. A cycle she intended to break. Her revenge was no longer personal. It was systemic. Underestimated. Emily founded the Cross Initiative, a legal and financial support network for women ruined by workplace discrimination. Cases poured in. Teachers. Engineers. Single mothers. Older women discarded after decades of service. Emily listened to them all. And with every story, her strength multiplied. Richard's allies fought back. They tried to destroy Emily's reputation again. Fake scandals. Paid interviews. Online hate. But this time, Emily was prepared. She released documents. Recorded conversations. Court testimonies. Truth stood firm. Lies collapsed. Success brought loneliness. Late nights. Empty apartments. Memories of the woman she once was. One evening, Emily broke down not from weakness, but exhaustion. "I won," she whispered. "So why does it still hurt?" Healing, she realized, takes longer than revenge. Richard Hale was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. In court, he finally spoke to Emily, "You ruined my life." Emily replied calmly, "No, I survived what you did. You ruined your own." The courtroom fell silent. That silence was justice. Years later, Emily stood on a stage in Washington, D.C. addressing thousands of women. "I was silenced," she said. But silence is not weakness. It is preparation. The applause lasted minutes. Emily Carter was no longer just a name. She was a movement. Laws changed. Policies rewritten. Women believed finally. On a quiet evening, Emily returned to Ravenwood. She stood where everything once fell apart. And she smiled. Not because she took revenge, but because she won herself back.